Hi, and welcome to Jen and Dan's Natural Healing with Plants, the go-to podcast for holistic health seekers looking to harness the power of nature for health and healing. I'm Jen, a passionate health educator, whole food plant-based culinary coach, and master herbalist, and I'm joined by Dan, an exercise specialist and wonderful master herbalist. Together, we dive into the world of natural healing, bringing you a wealth of knowledge and practical advice. We draw from both traditional wisdom and modern science, with herbs and foods to help you achieve optimal health. So I'm excited about today's topic. Did you know that nearly 70% of your immune system resides in your gut? This shows us how important it is, paying attention to what we eat, especially when we're sick. So Dan, what is one of the first things you do when someone comes to you and they're really sick?
Always start with their diet. What are you eating? Because the key is keeping it simple. You need fresh fruits and vegetables and easy to digest grains like quinoa. But let's talk about avoiding certain foods because certain foods are keeping you sick. So, Jen, what are your thoughts on processed foods when someone's immune system is compromised?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that one's definitely a go. Yeah, nothing, get rid of it. As not as green as in go, but get it out of your house. No processed foods. Yeah, so if you're sick, yeah, I'm with you. The first thing I do is also look at the food. What do we need to cut out? What have you been eating recently? And what is going to help you heal? And so for me, processed foods definitely anything with added sugars, anything that can create inflammation. Both of us are completely 100% whole food plant based. And so when you're sick, that's definitely where you need to go. You're not going to get any healing or cleaning up on the inside, repairing any digestive issues, even your immune health, if you're eating anything inflammatory. We know meats are inflammatory. We know dairy is inflammatory. And so not only the processed foods, but those sugars. And we have to look at hidden sugars. People don't even realize they're eating sugar. Like when we look at coffees, most people are drinking dessert, with their sugar and their cream and all of that. You definitely don't need anything like that. So what are you thinking about in terms of foods?
Oh, well, of course we gotta get rid of all the processed stuff. And even the the processed foods that say organic and kosher and vegan, those aren't good for you either. I mean, a lot of people, and it's confusing, like, well, this says like it's got clean ingredients, but still it's not because it's still processed, it can still cause inflammation. But we talk about we learn, we have to keep a toxin-free environment. And our bodies, look, we're bombarded by toxins all the time. So that's another thing we have to look at are there things in our house that may be keeping us sick? Do we use conventional cleaning products, like Clorox and bleach, all these harmful things?
Mhm.
Is our bed off gassing chemicals? Things like what kind of water? We have to look at all this, but
Yeah.
so
Yeah. I guess it depends on what kind of illness we're talking about. Like if somebody came to us because they have some kind of cold or flu or something, it's going to be different than if somebody has a chronic illness.
oh yeah.
But generally, we see people for chronic. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They already have generally their go-tos, or they're looking for that quick fix pill for an ill, which we don't typically do. Yes. And so when someone comes to us because they're sick, it's usually because they have something chronic going on and they're really ready to reverse. And so I love that you mentioned toxins. And we have to look at the entire thing. So people don't realize all the toxins they're exposed to. I can't remember, and maybe because you always remember these stats, how many different chemicals you're exposed to, like in the first hour of waking up. It's I can't remember, but something insane, from washing your hands after you go to the bathroom, to chemicals in your toothpaste, to chemicals in your face wash or moisturizer, and that's before you even get out of the bathroom. And then, or shaving cream or shampoo and conditioner, all of
Yes.
those things. Yeah. And then you go into the kitchen, and then what kind of water are you drinking? Like you said, is it tap water that has chlorine And another thing people don't think about is if you're on city water, the water that is processed, how well is it at filtering prescription drugs and um, hormones and chemicals and things like that that are passed into the sewer system and recycled and cleaned up, you know, or from runoff. People flush all their drugs and everything. What happens to all of those chemicals? And are you taking those in? I don't know the water processing. I don't know how everything goes, but those are things to think about. And even if it's, just the chlorine and the fluoride, that's an endocrine disruptor right there. And so I strongly encourage people not to drink city water. But I just wanted to point out, all those are just, you know, things right first thing in the morning that we're exposed to. And then if you make your coffee in a black plastic coffee pot, then you're getting all the plastics into your coffee and the chemicals from the coffee.
Yes, we are overburdened. You still have the people, well, our liver and our kidney, they do everything we need to do. We don't have to help. And I say maybe that was true 200 years ago, but
Right.
now we live in a new world. We are bombarded. Our organs get overburdened, and we have to help them out with things, certain herbs and certain foods
Hmm.
and good clean water. So
Right.
yeah, I mean that's why we teach about all these toxins because my God, I think there's over 80,000 man-made chemicals in the world today.
Yeah, something like that. Right. Yeah, and all those chemicals I talked about first thing in the morning, none of those existed
Uh-uh.
200 years ago. Right.
Nope. Nope.
Yeah, so what a difference.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
so yeah, and that's only the beginning, and then you go on through the rest of your day exposed to more and more and more. Yeah, so we definitely have to look at toxins and detoxification and working on that, which we can get into too. But before we go on a tangent, I guess we'll go through some other things that we look at. A big one is sleep. So many people don't sleep, or they'll say, I can get by on 4 hours of sleep a night, or I get up 6 times in the middle of the night, or I can't go to sleep, or I fall asleep but then I wake up at 3 and I can't go back to sleep, that kind of thing. And so sleep is huge here. It's definitely a problem. And people work 24/7. So many people work overnight, night shifts, and things like that. And we know that those people generally have poorer health compared to people who don't. And so what are your thoughts, and how do you help people with sleep?
Well, I always tell them, it's good throughout the day if you can to expose yourself to natural light during the day because this helps regulate your sleep and your mood and your melatonin, all these things. And I think that if you can, it's good to get out in the fresh air every day and go for a walk. Even
Yeah.
if you go for a walk in nature, it's even better because our body needs to be exposed to the fresh air and the sunlight. And when you work out during the day, it's going to help you sleep better at night. And then, of course, we can go into the blue lights, those computers and phones we look at. And I'm guilty of this too. We be in our chair at night watching TV. I might be scrolling something, but they're showing now that this can actually disrupt your sleep cycles. So they recommend, I think it's 2 hours before bed, at least 2 hours, cut off all
Mhm.
your blue lights, get off your computer, get off your phone, and try to, even um, you could probably try to take a warm bath. That will help some people, relax, kind of
Yeah.
wind down because God, people are stressed out, you know?
Yeah. 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 Get your body into a rhythm where it knows this is when we sleep.
Yeah.
It's time to wind down. Some things that I do, I like to dim the lights after dinner. I dim the lights. Before I go to bed, I have a bedtime tea, and I alternate, calming teas. I think we have another episode where we talked about that. And then I even do legs up the wall, which is a yoga pose where you put your legs straight up the wall. Um, because that helps your body relax. It's a restorative pose in yoga. And then, like you said, turning off the computer, putting away the phone, a couple of hours before bed, and turning off the computers and the blue light. And it's crazy what a difference that helped me. Another thing is a lot of times people wake up in the middle of the night thinking they need to go to the bathroom, and sometimes it's an underlying condition. There's something else. going on that's making them go up. But it starts to form a habit. And so it's not really that you need to get up and go to the bathroom. It's just part of a habit. And so sometimes it's breaking that habit, which is hard to do, because I don't know if you've ever had those dreams where you dream you're gonna wet the bed. Yeah, so
Well, I have.
yeah. So those things have helped me with sleep.
I'm trying to think. Well, of course, we could also talk about herbs like chamomile. I love my chamomile before bed, and
Mhm.
herbs like that. I mean, teas, they can help, but I think the exercise and what Jim was talking about, the blue lights, things like that are going to help probably the most. And you have to get in a routine like you're talking about. It's not just going to happen on day one. You have to start making it a regular occurrence. Okay, I'm going to turn off the computer and the phone 2 hours before bed. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And eventually it becomes a routine. You start to sleep better because sleep is crucial to
Yes.
staying healthy and healing. You have to sleep.
Right, right. Our body does so many different things during our sleep, cleaning up our brain and storing memories, and all sorts of things go on while we're sleeping. Growth hormone comes out to repair muscles. Just so many different things happen during our sleep. So yes, we definitely have to focus on sleep. And some of the herbs I like at bedtime are like valerian, lavender, tulsi, chamomile, lemon balm. Yeah. And we didn't give a medical disclaimer, but we're not telling anyone to use these herbs. We're telling you to do your own due diligence looking into these herbs. These are herbs that we suggest for relaxation and bedtime, but we're not telling you to take it. Make sure you look it up for yourself. But those are herbs that I like to enjoy, and I rotate those on most nights. Yeah, I love those. Something else that helps with healing and recovery is community support, and making sure, because a lot of times people when they're sick, especially when it's a chronic illness, or autoimmune disease, or maybe you're just diagnosed with something, or you're in pain, or one of those invisible illnesses. You look fine on the outside, but something's going on the inside. And so it's just important to find a community that understands and supports you during this. There are a lot of Facebook groups. Um, if you're on Facebook, but even if it's something, like there are like cancer support groups, there are all sorts of support groups too. And so if you can't find someone in your family or friend group that supports you, then reaching out and finding someone else to help you with the emotional support.
Oh yeah, it's vital to have people around you that are positive with what you're trying to do because I've seen people on healing doing some healing things, like natural healing.
Hmm.
And some people are like, what are you doing? You're wasting your time with that. You have to get people who are like-minded and support what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And look, I also advise don't tell people what you're doing. I've had people doing juice cleanses and things, and they'll tell somebody, are you sure that's safe? Oh, you need to go ask your doctor about that. I'm like, oh my God. You can't tell people, or I don't know. You just can't talk about what you're trying to do. That's for
Right.
anything,
Right.
not just healing. So,
Right. And then that causes more confusion.
and fear. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to commit. Yeah. This is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. Yes. And so as a practitioner, we have to teach too, why it's safe or whatever. Yeah. And then have them commit and not listen to these other people that hear everything else. That goes on with our diet, eating completely
Oh,
whole food plant-based. It's
oh yeah.
the same thing.
You sure you're
Yeah.
getting enough protein? The guy that eats at McDonald's every day is worried about your diet, right?
Right. Right.
Uh, so yeah, you
So
have to. Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
yeah. And so the next one is movement, exercise.
Yeah.
So how do I know you're an exercise specialist. So what do you recommend when someone comes to you that has a chronic illness? Do you have them, train for a 5K, or do you have them do
No.
something else?
No. If you're chronically ill, what's going to help you most is going to be gentle exercise. The gentle exercise is going to help your immune system. It's going to help move your lymphatic system. We're talking things like walking, like I was talking about before, doing some yoga stretches or stretches in general. Even have you heard, the rebounder, like the little trampolines?
Hmm.
You can bounce on that maybe 5 or 10 minutes. Things are gentle because the lymphatic system does not have a pump. The only way we pump that is through movement, but you can, walk in and do it, ride on your bicycle, but nothing too, if you're really sick, I don't want you to do anything strenuous, but I want you to move your body throughout the day to keep that circulation going,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
It's so important to move. Our bodies are made to move. So even when we're sick, when we're not feeling good, yeah, it's so important to do what you can. Yeah.
Hmm.
If that means you can't get off the couch, but you can move your arms and legs, do what you can, because the only way that lymphatic system is going to move is
Hmm.
it if you move. Yeah. I love that you said that. So let's start about let's start. Let's talk about cleansing because you touched on that a little bit with the juice cleanse. And so, at the School of Natural Healing, there are a couple of things that we traditionally start with, when somebody comes in. So I guess start us on that a little bit.
Well, the first thing we started at the School of Natural Healing is the 3 day, it's more than 3 days. I think it's 2 weeks of parasite cleansing, wasn't the gut healing routine? I
Mm-hmm.
think it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks,
Yeah.
remember, but
Parasite
yeah,
cleanse. Mm-hmm.
yeah, we start with that because a lot of people think that in this country we don't have to worry about parasites, but this isn't necessarily true. People still do get parasites in our country.
Yeah.
And if you have a lot of parasites, this may be one of the reasons you're feeling so weak and sick. I mean,
Yeah.
so we
And you
take herbs and things. Go ahead.
Yeah, and you don't even know that they're there. I was recently sick and actually did a stool test, a functional stool test, that detected parasites. And at the same time, I had been having a flare, autoimmune flare, and my doctor said she had already hinted that I needed to do a parasite cleanse, which I knew from my own background, and we did, and I did have parasite. And I've seen studies now too where parasites are connected to cancer and things like that. So have you heard of that? And what are your thoughts?
I have heard of that. I remember one of the first people was Hulda Clark. She linked cancer to parasites.
Mhm.
So she would tell people to do a parasite cleanse and their cancer would go away. I don't know exactly how it works as far as
Mhm.
how parasites are connected to cancer, but yeah, there is evidence that that is true. So, I mean, there's herbs that, the parasite cleanse consists of, you're taking these herbs like black walnut hull, even wormwood's a good one, wormwood, things like that. And you want your diet again to have, raw, fresh foods like fruits and vegetables and maybe some juice because these foods help clear parasites out. And there's foods that are linked to more parasites like meat and dairy because these foods
Mhm.
they just naturally have more bacteria and parasites
Mhm.
in them. I mean, like pork. Pork is filthy.
Yeah, it's known for that, right?
So you can't even cook these things out of pork. I mean, there's
Right,
parasites that do not die during heating.
right,
So
right,
this is a big deal. It's one reason we don't like meat because you can get parasites from it. So,
right, right. Well, and unfortunately, you can get parasites from all sorts of different things
oh yeah.
too. Yeah, and walking barefoot outside, which I love to do, and grounding and stuff like that can get it. And I've heard people of getting them on their produce too. Making sure you're cleaning your produce well um, too. But I do think that parasite for someone who's chronically ill, parasite cleanse, which we learned at School of Natural Healing, is the first step. And like you said, it's the whole food, plant based, clean, raw foods in their most natural state and the juices to help cleanse everything out
Yeah.
of the body. And another thing that does, you're eliminating so many toxic foods right away, cleaning everything out. And then we end with lots of probiotics and prebiotic rich foods to help regenerate the gut microbiome, which is just another excellent step in beginning the healing process. The body is set to do those things on its own, but that helps give you an extra boost if you have a multi-strain probiotic.
So the parasites cleanse, sets the stage for deeper healing. Have you ever noticed any dramatic changes after someone completes the cleanse?
Yeah, so it can go different ways. And it depends on how deep someone's cleanse is and what shape they were in going in. You know, for someone, I do a 14-day cleanse. You know, in the spring and the fall, I offer it as a group program for clients. And if somebody's coming in eating a standard American diet and they go into this 14-day cleanse, that's not a parasite cleanse. So I wasn't thinking about that. That's not a parasite cleanse. For parasite cleanse, most people, you know, it's a whole month and it's, you know, a complete transformation. And I know for myself, antibodies immediately drop. And so that's just autoimmune disease in my own experience. But definitely I've had clients who they have been several clients who've been scheduled to have surgery for pain and they're pain free when we finish the cleanse. And so, you know, that's fabulous. Have you seen progress? What kind of results have you seen?
Well, definitely a lot of people I've seen, people will drop weight. I've seen, I mean,
Yeah.
you can drop a pound a day on a juice cleanse. I've seen people do that. It's
Mhm.
amazing. And you know, and another thing I see is if somebody is in a lot of pain, like joint pain, back pain, that starts to go away after a few days. Even for
Right.
myself, when I did my lung cleanse,
Mhm.
after 4 or 5 days, like I don't have much pain in my body at all. It's so anti-inflammatory. It's amazing. So if somebody's like in chronic pain, I recommend going on a juice cleanse
Yeah.
because it helps so much. And I do think juice cleanses will definitely help expedite parasites too, because they don't have anything to feed on anymore, and it
Right.
flushes. And of course, blood pressure is going to go down for a lot of people, depending
Mhm.
on how long they do it. Cholesterol is going to go down. And
Mhm.
I didn't want to say, I'm not going to talk about other things that can get better because, I guess we should.
Right.
But yeah, let's just say a lot of diseases will respond to juices. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think cleaning up the environment, focusing on sleep, staying well hydrated, getting support, and not doing a parasite cleanse alone. That
Yeah.
you do need support from someone else to do a parasite cleanse. But I do think that those are fabulous ways to start your recovery process. But before we leave, they finished this parasite cleanse, they've added the probiotics, and then what from there? Because they've made this great transformation. But if they just like, this is why I'm saying get support from someone, because you don't want to finish the parasite cleanse and go right back to the situation where you needed a parasite cleanse.
Oh no, that's really good. That's a really good point, Jen. Of course, what we want them to do is go to a healthy plant-based diet,
Mm-hmm.
maintain your health. I mean, I call it the health building diet because we get healthy doing these cleanses and things, we start to regain our health.
Yeah.
But then when we start to eat again, we want to focus on plant foods because if we don't, we can go right back to where we started. It's the thing,
Right.
taking one step forward, two steps back. You have
Right.
to be willing to commit. We want people to commit long term. If you work with me, I want you to get healthy and I want you to stay that way for the rest of your life. That's the
Mm-hmm.
reason I do this. I want to get people healthy and stay there.
Right. And not need me anymore. Right. They make
Yes.
lifestyle changes and not need me anymore. They're feeling
Yes.
great. One of the problems that I do see is someone comes off a cleanse like this, they've lost weight, and then they're afraid to add more food. They want to keep going, they want to keep losing weight. And what happens is if you stay, eating such a restricted diet, then all of a sudden you're like, I have to have meat. And it's not because you need meat, it's because you're not eating enough calories. You're not getting enough nutrition. And it's not hard to do. It's combining, lots of different foods, making sure you're eating all of the different colors in the day, making sure like if you have a salad, it's not a restaurant size salad, like side salad. It's the big bowl of lots of different vegetables. The regular restaurant salad, like if I go get a whole food plant-based salad somewhere, it doesn't have enough variety. The cucumber, the tomato, and the lettuce isn't going to cut it. You need some seeds on there, maybe some beans on there. We need lots of vegetables, peppers. We want all the different colors and textures, and we want to be able to get that in each meal. And so for me, it's training clients how to get all of those it's a process. You can't go from A to Z. We have to do all the little steps. And the Parasite cleanse is a great way to get started because it resets the whole system, retrains the taste buds. You lose that taste for those sugary, salty, fat foods, and then introduce these foods that start tasting so much better because our taste buds are no longer hijacked.
Very good point. I get so many people that start plant-based and they say, well, I'm getting weaker. This doesn't work for me. It must be the protein. But it's really
Yeah.
easy to undereat on a plant-based diet. And that's the beauty of it because it's also recommend this diet for weight loss because you can eat so much food and
Hmm.
still lose weight because the
Right,
calorie density is low.
right, right. Just not eating enough.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I think we are running out of time, so we should wrap it up. I hope that this helped you on your journey. We want to hear from you. So if you're currently dealing with something going on, a chronic illness or something, let us know. You can always private message us or something like that. We just want to make sure that you know that we are here to help you. We want to make sure that this show gives you information that's really going to provide information that you need to hear. So please comment, let us know, and subscribe to our podcast, share it with your friends. And remember that we're here to help. To work with me, you can go to holisticjen.com. That starts with a W for whole, holisticjen.com. And if you're looking for help from Dan, you can go to danthenaturalman.com as well. And once again, both of us can help you with herbs and natural healing. That is what our love and passion is. So we hope that you'll join us again next week.